Since Far Cry 5 is a first-person shooter, it is essential to consider how such games, in general, impact the human brain, regardless of whether they contain puzzle coding. In these games, players immerse themselves in a virtual world through a first-person perspective, which directly affects perception and cognitive processes. The brain processes this kind of gameplay similarly to real-life experiences, particularly in terms of attention and spatial awareness. This perspective significantly enhances a player's sense of spatial presence, the feeling of actually being in the pseudo-reality of the game. Studies show that this phenomenon is linked to increased activity in the frontal and parietal cortices, areas of the brain involved in perception and decision-making. Specifically, the study Perspective and Agency During Video Gaming Influences Spatial Presence Experience and Brain Activation Patterns confirms that first-person perspective in video games intensifies the sense of reality, while simultaneously reducing alpha wave activity in the corresponding regions of the brain. Intensive first-person gaming can lead to long-term changes in the brain, particularly in regions associated with memory and spatial orientation. Another study, Long-Lasting Connectivity Changes Induced by Intensive First-Person Shooter Gaming, demonstrated that prolonged gameplay results in altered connectivity between the thalamus and the parahippocampal gyrus, changes that were still detectable 3 months later. The paper, Games on the Brain, can take virtual experiences to real-world notes that some players, especially those who game frequently, may experience what are known as game transfer phenomena. These are temporary effects in which players perceive elements from the game in real life, or feel impulses to act as they would in the game. While researchers state that the phenomenon is temporary and eventually subsides on its own, they also observe that many gamers can experience it repeatedly. In other words, for a certain period, the boundary between game and reality becomes blurred.